There is nothing like a full Sunday where you're just a lazy bum on your couch while your diet consists of chips, chicken wings, pizza, and soda for a whole about 16 hours or so. That, my friends, is the NFL season. From watching your team slip you into an unlimited season-long depression over and over because they can't get the ball past the line of scrimmage, all the way up until your boy, whose team won the Super Bowl last year, has to call you numerous times over and over to remind you how much your team sucks because it's the only way he can compensate for his lack of masculinity. Or even the fantasy season where you decided to draft Kyle Pitts in round 5 because you still believe that there's hope. The 3-page long injury reports of yet another Tua Tagovailoa concussion, to watching our favorite comedy show called The Dallas Cowboys while Jerry Jones casually burns his entire franchise to the ground. Instances of just being a Bears fan and having to hear it casually over and over that this is their year. Spoiler, it isn't. We cover it all, ladies and gentlemen. This is Pick 6. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Pick 6 podcast presented by Street Logic Sports. My name, as always, is Yousuf Shaban. I'm joined by my usual suspects. I got Naoki Gima right here. I got Majed Jisri right here. No Isaiah Brune today, unfortunately. He will be joining us again next week, but we always appreciate you guys coming in, tuning in. We'll have him back as soon as possible. He did leave us with his boom or bust picks for the week, so Majed will read that out, or Naoki actually will read that out for today. But I think Majed now will provide explanation that Isaiah gave us. So anyway, Week 10 upon us, just like that. The season has zoomed by. It still doesn't feel like real at all. The time is running by the way it is. You're probably sitting at home with your fantasy team currently at 1-8, and you probably want to curl up in a ball and cry. But hey, we're here anyway because this football season, there's no better time of the year. Eagles, Niners, Chargers all look great. Fantasy football, obviously, I'm sure is looking great for most of you guys too. Matt, I'm sure you could speak to that a little bit. If you want to give us a little bit of a fantasy update, talk to me a little bit about what's going on, my man.
Fantasy's been going well in most parts, but last week I did have Brock Bowers with that stingy trade I made, and Brock Bowers dropped 45 against the guy that did trade him to me, so that was pretty fun. But other than that, fantasy's going on the right path so far.
You're a criminal.
Nah, bro, listen, I'm Howie Roseman, bro. I'm Howie Roseman, okay? That's all I'm gonna say.
Let's move on. Yeah, this week was pretty active in trades, bro. We were pretty dormant when it came to trades in our league this year. Just leading up to this week, with me and Isaiah. But I made a huge move. I'm actually won. I won this past week. I'm currently on a 4-game win streak heading into week 10. I'm currently now 5-4. After I started 1-4, I beat Jared, who was the reigning champ from last year. He lost. He was very bitter, and he claimed my win streaks because of my strength of schedule. But I ended up beating him. So yeah, maybe it is because of strength of schedule that I'm on a win streak. Jared, that's for you. Um, Made a huge move. Made a huge move. I felt like my running back department was lacking. I only had Tony Pollard, Ramondre Stevenson, and James Cook. Those are my running backs on this team. At that point, I was like, "Halas, bro! Like, I need to make a move." So what I did was I traded Justin Jefferson and Darnell Mooney for Jonathan Taylor.
Hmm. Okay.
I'm not mad about it. I'm not mad about it. It was originally supposed to be a 1-for-1. It was going to be Jettas and Jonathan Taylor, but I did the deal with Luke. Luke felt like he just wanted something else on there. I was like, you know what? Here, take Darnell Mooney if you want him. It's okay. Like I was okay with parting ways with Mooney, but Jettas, the stint that you had on my team for 3-4 weeks, you were great. You helped me go on a win streak. I appreciate you, but I had to take the RB too. I had to take one of the best fantasy performers this year. I would be an idiot not to take that deal. So,
That's offensive play of the year right there.
oh, by far, as of right now, yeah, by far, it's not even close. So, yeah, that's the case for me. As for Isaiah, Isaiah's coming off a loss this week. He's still top of the division. He's currently sitting at 6-3. The outlook for that league right now, bro. We have 2 teams that are 6-3, 6 teams that are 5-4, one team that is 2-7, and then Omar's team is 1-8. And Omar, just for reference again, guys, if you don't remember, he was the one that drafted Ted McMillan in round 4. So just so you guys know. Anyway, without further ado, let's get back into the nitty gritty of things. Obviously, we didn't upload an episode last week. We had a little bit of mishaps, but we wanted to make sure that we got an episode up this week. Even though we have no Isaiah, we wanted to make sure you guys got an episode. So this is us doing it. It's gonna be relatively quick. We got no plug-in, pull-out review or boomer bust review for you. We're just gonna hop into the boomer bust for this week, make your life easier, make our lives easier. So first and foremost, let's talk about Isaiah's boom player of the week. Naoki, if you want to introduce it, and then we're gonna break it down.
Yeah, so Zay's boomer bust pick, his boom player this week is Ted McMillan going up for the Carolina Panthers. His week 10 matchup is the New Orleans Saints. His week 10 PPR projection is 12.2 points. Zay has his boom projection at 18.1 points. His analysis goes as follows. The Panthers are coming off a huge motivating confidence boosting win against the Packers, putting them at 5-4. He expects them to carry this momentum into a much easier opponent and a divisional opponent at that. Bryce Young, while the Panthers are winning games, has only seen two passing days, over 200 passing yards this season. This is a perfect opportunity for Bryce to solidify himself in this offense and really get his confidence going. Leading our charge will be the rookie McMillan, who leads the team in targets by a landslide. Have some confidence starting the guy. Let's ride.
I like it. I like it. Omar, this must be a happy day for you. Um, as mentioned, his PPR projection is 12.2. His boom projection is 18.1. Omar, if you're sitting there somewhere on your couch smoking crack like you do, this could be a happy day for you, man. Just be ready. It seems like Isaiah has some belief in your fourth round pick. Your fourth round pick, rookie receiver, Ted McMillan, by the way. Okay.
I like this pick by Isaiah too, just because little we talked about earlier. Obviously, the nice matchup they had last week against the Packers. Obviously, we know the Panthers have been heavy running with obviously Rico Dowdle as well as Chuba Hubbard in the lineup now back from injury. But obviously, clearly, when he wants to throw the ball, it's not going to Leggett. It's clearly going to Tet. So obviously, against this disgusting Saints organization, I love Keelan Moore, but man, I hate this organization. Everything besides Kamara, this organization needs to get like demolished. But back to that, saying, I think he's gonna have a good game against that secondary.
Yeah, Kamara might have to hop that conversation real soon too. Anyway, Stephon Diggs, Majed. I don't know why I just said that. Anyway, Majed,
I
your
got
boom
you.
player for this week, please.
My boom player this week is Stephon Diggs, obviously from the New England Patriots. His Week 10 matchup is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. His Week 10 PPR projection is 13.6 points, while I have his boom PPR at 20.1. Now, you might say, why this big jump from 13 to 20 this week? As you guys see, reported Kayshon Boutte is going to be 99% out. He broke his own news on a Discord server. I don't know if you guys saw that last week. It was the funniest thing ever. He didn't even let the coaching staff get to it. He hasn't practiced all week, and it's trending towards where he's not going to play. Let alone this Buccaneers team is pretty injured on both sides of the ball, defense and offensively. So obviously Diggs is going to be that number one option. Obviously look for Hunter Henry as well, but receiver wise, I think Stephon Diggs is going to be the number one option, and I see a big game from Stephon Diggs this week.
Yeah, Cardi Diggs, man. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to see how he performs. Uh, moving on to my boom player. I have Rashad White. He's facing the Patriots this week. He's projected at 16.16 points. I have his boom projection at 21. The reason why I have Rashad White, Bucky Irving has missed practice yet again. Hasn't practiced all week. It looks like he's trending to missing another game. He could potentially be out until week 12, which wouldn't be a surprise. So Rashad White will remain the lead back in Tampa. Despite the fact that he is a starter, he faces a New England run defense that ranks top 5 in the NFL and is only fourth in points allowed to running backs. However, I see him doing a lot of damage in the pass catching department out of the backfield. We know this New England pass rush is fantastic. They're not going to allow Baker much time to look downfield for guys like Igbuka or Tez Johnson, even a Kate Otten. I see a lot of dump offs, like a little small curl routes to Kate Otten, or even just passes out of the backfield. A lot of screen plays to Rashad White. I think he'll do most of his damage in that department. So I see it being a big game for Rashad White in terms of PPR. So it should be huge.
All right, on to the bust player section, starting off with Isaiah's bust pick. He has Devontae Adams of the Los Angeles Rams. His Week 10 matchup is the San Francisco 49ers. Yousuf Shaban's San Francisco 49ers. His Week 10 PPR projection is 16.51 points. Zay's bust projection for Tay is 8.4 points, so quite chopped that projection in half. The 1 yard touchdown merchant looks to strike again against a divisional rival opponent, but unfortunately that ends this week. He meets a 49ers defense this week that held him to 5 catches and 88 yards with no score, which in hindsight isn't a bad fantasy day. Yet, it was a full overtime football game. Expect an entirely different game script and for the Rams to look to establish a run early instead of their last matchup script. Nonetheless, Adams is showing a pattern that follows a bust performance into this week. Kyron Williams and Puka Nacua will again be the stars of this game. Trust the process. Sit Tay this week.
I mean, it's a good call based on what we saw last time. I mean, could be risky. We have a very, very, very young secondary apart from Diamador Lenore, but they did a very good job last time against the Rams, and I expect them to do it again. So not a bad call here from Isaiah. Moving on with the bus players, I want to talk about Majed. Talk to me.
My best player for this week, obviously, is DeAndre Swift from the Chicago Bears. DeAndre Swift obviously has proven a lot of people wrong, which, it's no surprise with that good offensive line the Bears have this year, and obviously Ben Johnson being able to use these certain players in gadget plays. Their Week 10 matchup is against the New York Giants. His Week 10 PPR projection is 14.7, but I do have his bust PPR projection at 10.5. We saw Saquon demolish the Giants last week and get hurt, Tank Bigsby. You'd call me crazy right now. Why am I doing it against this defense? Well, I don't think this Giants defense is going to, have a back-to-back week of just shit performance on that line. I think this week their defensive line is going to pick it up. Let alone, I think the Giants just as a whole, they gotta really rally up after last performance against the Eagles. So I think this coming week, I think Swift is coming off an injury. I don't think he's going to be 100% even going into this game. So I think you should bench him this week.
Yeah, I'm honestly surprised that they're putting him out there that quick. Honestly, I thought they'd stick with Kyle Monangai considering the performance that he had last week too. But then again, Monangai went crazy against one of the worst defenses, if not the worst defense in the NFL. So, to each their own. We'll see how it works. I don't think they're going to get him right back to his regular running load that he had, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did it. They are the Bears at the end of the day. They tend to do dumb shit. So, anyway, and then moving into the final bus player of the week, it's my bus player. I have Alvin Kamara. His projected points are 12.9. I have him not even touching 8. And it's hard to say that because he is Street Logic Sports golden boy. We can all attest to this. We've spoken so highly of Alvin Kamara for weeks, and for years, actually. Let me take that back. Yeah, for years. But he has been utter and complete fucking dog shit all season. His attitude just seems like he's kind of coasting at this point. He's ready to retire a Saint. He doesn't seem like he wants to go anywhere else. When the trade deadline topic was brought up earlier in the season, about a few weeks ago, he said, I'm probably just going to go drink pina coladas if I do get traded. It's just a lot of bullshit. Kamara was rough last week against the Rams. Again, one of the best run defenses in the NFL. He had 6 carries, only 14 yards. He had only 1 catch for 3 yards, and he had 3 targets, including a lost fumble. Like, that is probably one of the most dreadful stat lines I think he's had in his entire career, if not the worst. It's not even close. He's now scored 6.5 PPR points or less in 3 games in a row. He's never done this in his entire career. He hasn't scored a touchdown since week 1. Week 1. He hasn't scored a touchdown. We're in week 10. Now, a lot of people may be like, okay, well, he's playing Carolina. All right, let's see. What are we talking about here? Carolina has allowed James Cook and Josh Jacobs to combine for 53.6 PPR points in the last 2 games. So Kamara could go crazy. I don't trust it. I say bench him. He's been fucking horrible. I don't care that their backup running back is torn his ACL. I don't care. Bench Alvin Kamara. It's not a safe start. His attitude stinks. That backfield fucking stinks anyway. They have Tyler Shuff starting at QB. Fantastic. And I feel like Kellen Moore just has no idea what's going on over there. So Anything with the Saints not named Chris Olave is radioactive. Bench him.
Enough said there. Enough said there.
Yeah.
Enough said.
Anyway,
Plug in, pull out, week 10. We got 10 new names this week. Like Yousuf said earlier in the show, we didn't have an episode up last week, so we're back with this. First name up, we have Jalen Waddle versus the Buffalo Bills. Yousuf?
I say plug in. That Bills secondary is low-key sus. I'm not gonna lie, but I say plug in. The Dolphins tend to do well against the Bills, and especially with Tua for some odd reason. I don't know why he tends to play well against Buffalo. But I see Waddle eating this week.
I'm right with you, Yousuf. That's a plug-in for me. Jalen Waddle's proven to obviously cook the Bills defense. Harrison, obviously the Bills rookie corner that they did get back finally from injury, looked really good last week. Obviously getting the pick, but overall, I still think it's a plug-in this week for Waddle.
Okay, next up on the board, we have QJ, Quentin Johnston versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yousuf?
I say plug in again. Why not? The Steelers are going to be honed in a lot on Keenan Allen and also Lad McConkey, who have both been the premier receivers for the Chargers this year. I think it's going to open up a lot of opportunity for Quentin Johnston, whether that be as a deep threat or just some 20 to 30-yard receptions. It is a very, very hard secondary to play against, but I'm rocking with plug in on Quentin Johnston this week.
I'm plugging in right here as well against the Steelers. The Steelers is literally a retirement home defense on that secondary. That's proven. Let alone that Steelers defense, like you said, is going to be focusing on that slot where Keenan McConkey are going to be playing, just because Jalen Ramsey still has some sort of respect still to his defense. But obviously that defensive line, so that means Kamani Vidal in the run game at least, I don't think is going to be relevant at all, as well as their tight end with having Patrick Queen going to be on him the whole game. So I think this is a really good plug-in.
Next up, we have Sam Darnold, the new Seahawks quarterback, who's been even on a new team, has been on a tear this season. His matchup is the Arizona Cardinals. Yousuf?
If you don't plug in, you're actually stupid and sick in the head. That's all I'm going to say.
Now listen, listen, we're getting a little controversy.
Majed,
Yousuf, just listen to me. Yousuf, let me speak.
Behave.
Let me speak. Let me talk. Let me talk. Listen, Sam Darnold has looked fantastic, right? Same way he did with the Vikings last year. And I still think the Seahawks are going to find a way to choke in the playoffs. That's not relevant right now. We're talking about this game against the Cardinals. Number one, it is a divisional game. Anything can happen. As much as we want to hate on the Cardinals and talk down on the Cardinals, we all hate the Cardinals. The Cardinals have proven one thing this year, though. That defense is legit. Okay? All 5 losses they have, or 6 losses, whatever that they have, is probably, they said in the last broadcast on Monday night, talking about in history, no team has lost to that least amount of points combined in all the losses. All the losses have come to 2 points, 3 points, 4 points, etc. Their defense plays well. It's a divisional game. I think it's going to be low scoring in this game. I think you're looking at like a 24-21 type game. I think the run game is going to get established. I think Zach Charbonnet is going to have a good game. I don't think Sam Darnold is going to be throwing for 350 yards and 3 touchdowns like he has every week. That's just my thing. It's a 1-1. Naoki, I'm going to let you be the tiebreaker for the plug and pull out just so we can get that.
I'm gonna ride the way. I'm gonna plug him in. He's been on a tear this year. I don't think. And look, with the new trade with Rashid Shaheed now joining Seattle now, that's another weapon that Sam Darnold now has at his disposal. I think we're still going to see a very good game out of Mr. Darnold over there in Seattle.
JSN is going to touch that secondary inappropriately without consent. Okay.
All right. Next up, we have Jordan Addison.
My bad. My thing's been lagging hella, so I don't know if whatever happened.
You're good.
My internet's unstable right now.
You're good. You're good. It's okay.
It's okay. It's okay. Next up, we have Jordan Addison versus the Baltimore Ravens. Yousuf?
Ravens defense just fucking sucks, bro. I'm gonna be honest, bro. Jordan Addison, yeah, plug in, dude. I'm not even gonna elaborate on this.
I'm plugging in. There's nothing more to say. That Ravens defense needs to show us something, but we'll see.
All right, next up, we have the Eagles tight end that we've mentioned it. The tight ends this year, compared to the down year the tight ends had last year, have been pretty good this year. Next up, we have Dallas Goedert who has a Monday Night Football game against the Green Bay Packers. Yousuf.
Yeah, the Titans have been great this year. Pull out. I don't trust it this week, honestly. I love Dallas Goddard. I think he's had a fantastic year this year. I just don't trust it this week. The Packers are a fantastic defense. They also rank one of the top against tight ends this season, and points allowed to tight ends as well in fantasy. I don't think it's a safe pick for Goddard. I see this being a potential Saquon, potential AJ Brown game. Either one of those two. But we'll see. I see a lot of tush pushes in in their future, and it's not going to be Dallas Goddard this week.
I agree with you completely. This is a pullout for me. Dallas Goddard's looked fantastic this year, but like you said, the Packers are ranked top 3 in tight end defense, let alone that defensive line is going to get quick pressure. I think this is a Saquon game. I think this is a receiver game because of obviously the shitty ass corners that the Packers have. I don't trust it this week, so pull out.
All right. On the other side of that coin, we have Jordan Love versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Yousuf.
Pull out as well. Again, not a very quarterback friendly defense to go up against, unless your name is Jackson Dart. But yeah, I'm sorry, Majed. I had to. Sorry, Naoki. Sorry. Um, Not a safe game for Jordan Love. Obviously, I think he's a great quarterback. But gradually, as the season has gone on, I've seen him and watched him fall out of the MVP conversation at a rapid pace. You never know; he could get himself back in there, but he makes some very, very questionable decisions. You can't afford to do that against this kind of defense right here because they will make you pay. Carolina made him pay last week, and just imagine you make that kind of decision against Philly. I don't think it's safe. I think you bench Jordan Love this week.
I agree with you as well. I don't think this game's going to be as high scoring as people think it's going to be this week. Let alone, I don't know if you guys are seeing the weather conditions going to this game. They're saying this potentially could be the first snow game of the year. So they're expecting very low degree, some snow. So I don't see it being high scoring regardless, let alone, like you said, with the Jaden Phillips edition, with the corner editions that we have. I don't think it's going to be good this week for Jordan Love.
All righty. Next up, we had last season's wide receiver, Street Logic Sports sweetheart, Nico Collins. His matchup is against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Yousuf, what are we doing?
It's, the average human would probably say, pull out Nico Collins, considering that CJ Stroud literally has CTE now. But I am going to go plug in. Isaiah and I were talking about it earlier this week in our fantasy group chat, but Nico Collins looked relatively serviceable with Davis Mills in the game last week. He looked a lot better than he usually has all season long, to be fair. So I'd say plug him in. He's going up against a Jags team without Travis Hunter this week as well. He's going to be in IR for the next 3 weeks after this game. But I say plug in Nico Collins. I think he'll start to eat this week.
I agree with you guys completely too. He did look serviceable, obviously, in that second half when CJ Stroud did go out. Again, they are playing a Jacksonville Jaguars team that hasn't looked beautiful. Travis Hunter's out. He's on IR, so that defense doesn't really have anything trustworthy that's going to, in my opinion, stop, Nico to shut him out. So I plug in.
All right. Next up, we have Yousuf, one of your boys out there in San Francisco, linking up with this former and now current teammate, Mac Jones. But we have Kendrick Bourne in another divisional matchup against the LA Rams. Yousuf, what are we doing?
Yeah, this was hard. I don't know, bro, because Ricky Pearsall is still questionable. He still has a chance to practice tomorrow. But he hasn't practiced all week. Also, I mean, at the same time, if he comes back this week, I don't think he's going to get the same workload that he usually is used to seeing because he has missed the last 4 games now. It's hard for me. I don't know. This one's tough. Yeah, you're starting to see Jawan Jennings starting to get back kind of in his groove. George Kittle also starting to get back in his groove. And I think the safe thing to say is to pull out. But last time when he played against the Rams, he went crazy. And also, we didn't have Kittle at that time, too. I think it's worth noting. And Jawan Jennings was also injured. So I'm going to stick with pull out here. It's tough, but I'm going to pull out.
I'm gonna be honest. Every time, I pull out Kendrick Bourne in fantasy, it bites me in the ass and he ends up dropping 30 points. I'm not gonna make that mistake this week. I get it. Kittle is there. That is gonna be obviously probably the number one receiver target in a sense, as well as CMC is gonna be heavy, workloaded. Regardless, like you said, whether Pearsall does play or not, I don't think he'd get the same load. I'm gonna plug in just because Kendrick Bourne, regardless, it's always that certain type of player when it's a big game like that, a division game. It's always really going to be him. I think the Rams are going to go in realizing, hey, let's you can't stop McCaffrey, but you can slow him down. So let's throw 3 4 bodies at McCaffrey. Let Mac Jones eat in a sense. So I think it's a plug-in. I think if him getting 14, 15 is serviceable as your in a 14-man league wide receiver two or a flex option. I think it's serviceable. I would personally start this week just because of his history against the Rams. That's just Naoki. It's 1-1, so I'm gonna let you.
Yeah,
It's not a crazy thing to say.
I feel like based on that rationale, Majed, I think you're right. I think the Rams are going to try to hone in much more on a McCaffrey, with Kendrick Bourne really out there being the real wide receiver one option out there. Of course, Kittle is that as well, but I think yeah, and like I said, Mac and Kendrick Bourne already have that pre-built-in chemistry from their days in New England, so I think Mac Jones is going to go look toward that way more. So I think to break the tie, let's plug him in. Second to last one, the penultimate player here. We have Mark Andrews against the Minnesota Vikings. Yousuf, what are we doing?
I say plug it in, bro. I mean, Mark Andrews is going up. He's been one of the best tight ends in the NFL. He's currently ranked, well, let me take that back. He's been one of the best tight ends in the NFL for a good amount of time now, for the last 4 years or so, 5 years. He is ranked tight end 19 this year, but he's had some very big games, some very big performances. Now that Lamar is back, I see him still continuing to eat. He's going up against a Minnesota defense that ranks 21st in points allowed to tight ends this season. Not great. So I say you plug in Mark Andrews this week if you have him. Might as well. It doesn't hurt.
I'm going with you right there. I think he had a fire game last week. I think he's going to roll on, continue. I think the Ravens are going to be on a roll, ranked with the second. I think they're ranked second with the easiest schedule moving forward. I think the Ravens are going to go on a win streak. They're going to get back in the division, take that division. So I think Mark Andrews will have a good game.
All right. And the last name we have on the list in the international game, the 6:30 a.m. Pacific time game in Berlin, Germany, we have Drake London versus the number one seed in the AFC,
Hmm.
Indianapolis Colts. Yusuf, what are we doing?
Plug in, plug in, bro. It's Drake London, bro. Come on. If you pull him out, you're no. You plug in Drake London.
I'm with you there. If you play, you don't bench a round one, round two, even if it's a bad matchup, you're gonna plug it in. But I will say this week will be more interesting for a couple reasons. Number one, obviously they are playing overseas, so we'll see how that fatigue or that jet lag does to them. Let alone the Colts have been a fire team this year, adding Sauce Gardner, who we will talk about in a few. Obviously, Sauce Gardner's probably going to get that role with the workload that he got last week. Obviously, getting those 3 touchdowns and having that 40-point fantasy week. I don't think we're going to expect another game like that, but I think it's still going to be serviceable enough for him to start.
Well, there you have it. That is plug in, pull out for week 10. Now we're going to the segment of our show where we have a conversation. And there's only one real topic of this week. For those of you that have been living under a rock this past week, this week was the NFL trade deadline. Probably one of the most active trade deadlines I think we've seen in quite some time in the NFL. It felt almost NBA-ish, with the amount of deals that got done, the amount of big players that got moved around. What I have on the prompt is who are the biggest winners and losers of the trade deadline, but I do want to kind of tackle certain teams and certain players. First being off is the Jets. The New York Jets basically holding a fire sale on deadline day, trading away, as Majed said, Sauce Gardner to the Colts, and then also trading defensive tackle Quinnen Williams to the Dallas Cowboys, to one kind of direct conference rival in the Colts, and then one obviously on the other side of the conference bracket in the NFC to the Cowboys. What have you guys thought about the Jets trade deadline ideology as a whole? Yusuf, what do you think?
What the fuck? I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it, bro. I don't. I really don't understand. You trade the two guys that did not say they wanted to leave. They did not give any hint of wanting to leave. The two guys that actually gave you a hint of potentially wanting to leave were Garrett Wilson and Brees Hall. And you kept them both. You have them both in fucking purgatory. Mind you, both of those guys could have gotten you first round picks as well, especially Garrett Wilson. especially Garrett Wilson. He's been one of the best receivers in the NFL. He hasn't had one season shy of 1,000 yards since he's come into the NFL. He's played with some of the worst quarterbacks known to man in that fucking starting lineup. He's had to deal with Justin Fields, a running back at QB. He's gotten hurt for this team. He signed a contract with this team knowing he's going to be going through hell again. Trade the guy, bro. Let him go win. He deserves to win. He's been the most consistent, most professional player on this roster, mind you. He's been so professional about everything. Even today, they asked him, like, what do you think of Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner getting traded? He sat there and says, I hate this side of the business because I'm losing my friends and it sucks. But I get it. The Jets have a vision. I got to rock out with that vision. I don't get paid to make those kinds of decisions at all. I get paid to go out and play football. Very professional mindset. I love Garrett Wilson, but you're trading the wrong guys here. You have two all-pro defenders on your team. You get rid of both of them. Why? I don't care how many first round picks you get. You had Darrelle Revis. You traded him away for a first round pick. That shit didn't get you anywhere. You had Jamal Adams. You traded him away for a first round pick. That shouldn't get you anywhere. And now you do it again 5 years later with your all pro corner and Sauce Gardner, and you get a first round pick. What the fuck is this shit going to do for you? Okay. Show me what you can do with it. Show me.
Yeah, there's nothing more to say about that. You kind of covered every point I was going to say, but it's just more of, like you said, it's a fire sale. What I didn't understand from the Jets is, first of all, like you said, why are we trading the wrong people, number one? But why are we holding on to some? What is the Jets' vision? That's what we need to know. What is the Jets' vision? Okay, are we looking? Because now it's just confusing. Like, we thought the whole point of them tanking was we're going to get a QB in the draft, whether that's Arch Manning, whether it's whichever quarterback they're going to get in the draft. Now it's more like Naoki said before the show. Now it's looking like they're going for a defensive position, trading Quinnen Williams, trading Sauce Gardner. Now it's like, who else do they have on defense right now? And it's like Breece Hall has been catching all that attention all year. And I get it. Braylon Allen went down, so it kind of gave me that reason why Breece wouldn't get traded. But Breece would have got you a lot. Kansas City has been looking for a running back. The LA Chargers with Hampton down were looking for a running back. Many teams are looking. The Houston Texans are looking for a running back. There are teams out there that are willing to give up what you're asking for in that, let alone Garrett Wilson you spoke about. Many teams could use a wide receiver. Go let him win. He's done everything for this organization, like you said. Get some value out of him. Keep your defense strong, because then that makes it easier on your draft. Whether you get a young quarterback, you still have pieces around them. My point is in either keep everyone or get rid of everyone. I don't like how they just went half and half. Kind of screws up, because now it's like, what are we going to do? Like, sure, you might go draft a rookie now, but it's like now you have a shitty-ass defense. That means your rookie's going to be on the field more. That means he's going to get attacked more. Like, I don't see what we're doing here if I'm New York. I really don't.
According to Pro Football Focus, the post-trade deadline edition of the first-round mock draft has the Jets picking Dante Moore, the quarterback out of Oregon, with the third overall pick, and then they have another first-round pick from the Colts. As of right now, who had the best record in the NFL, will have the 32nd pick in the first round, and they have them taking Kristen Miller out of Georgia, who's a defensive player. So, the QB situation in New York, as we said, and as you mentioned, in these past few years have not been great. They've been pretty much abysmal, to say the least. And I think maybe the vision is to tank for a quarterback in the first round, whether that is Ty Simpson out of Alabama, Dante Moore out of Oregon, Fernando Mendoza out of Indiana. I would be genuinely shocked if they went with Ruben Bain Jr., who's been great as an edge rusher in Miami, but I think if you're holding this type of fire sale, I don't think they're looking at Justin Fields as a long-term solution at the quarterback position. I think they're still wanting to hold on to those offensive players like a Breece Hall and a Garrett Wilson to kind of look at those parts and say, like there is an offense that can be competent in the near future, but completely, financing out your defense, like Lisa said, you have two all-pro defensive players in Williams and Gardner, who have been the staple of your defense these last few years. Granted, they're 1-7 this year, but yeah, it's one of those things where, like, when we looked at, for example, when the Mavericks made the trade for Anthony Davis and they traded away Luka Doncic, we were like, what's the idea here for the Mavericks? But then Nico Harrison went out and said we're competing for championships for the next couple of years, and as if you're for my NBA fans out there, that's not necessarily particularly the case as of this moment. But as we saw, the Mavericks did end up getting the number one overall pick, despite having not the greatest odds to getting that. So the Jets currently are not the favorites to get the number one overall pick, but if they do get up there to pick number one, I am expecting a quarterback to be taken by the Jets here.
Because let's
Another,
not forget, Naoki, sorry to cut you off. Let's not also forget, too, going into this year, everyone goes, it might necessarily be about drafting a quarterback. You can always sign a veteran. But when you're looking at the options really available, there's really nothing like all the quarterbacks went last year. So, like, obviously, Aaron Rodgers on his retirement year. If he does resign, it's still going to be with the Steelers. That's nothing. You got Russell Wilson, another bum. You got Geno Smith, who's most likely not going to be with the Raiders, another bum. Kenny Pickett, another bum. Like, the only best option you might get out of all this, out of all the quarterbacks that are available, maybe, is someone like a Mac Jones that kind of came in for an injured quarterback, has performed well, is going to earn himself a contract, most likely, but or maybe even trade for like a Kyler Murray. But my point too is like Mac Jones, we've seen him with the Patriots when the system wasn't well, not and clearly the Jet system isn't well. If he goes to the Jets, I'm not saying Mac is bad, but again, we might see Patriots Mac back with the Jets just because of the team that they have. Everything also works around systems. So that's another point that I'm putting. Like Sam Darnold, in my opinion, did a very well thing going from Minnesota, choosing a team that will fit a system. He's going to have dominant wide receivers, have a two-punch run game like they did in Minnesota with Aaron Jones. So that's my point to you with this. Like, what are we going to see from the Jets? I generally don't know.
yeah, I mean, enough said there. I wanna to hear Yusuf's perspective on the 49ers lacking any sort of big moves at this year's trade deadline. What do you think? What are your thoughts there, Yusuf, on your team not making any moves this year?
I'm disappointed, but I'm not upset or surprised. Um, Here's the reason, right? You'd think, right? We have a bunch of injuries, like Michael Williams down for the season, Fred Warner's down for the season, Nick Bosa's done for the season. Um, why would you guys not go for a high-profile defender like a Trey Hendrickson or something of the sort, even a Jalen Phillips? Very simple. The moment that Nick Bosa and Fred Warner went down, Super Bowl hopes are gone, completely gone. You could ask every 49ers fan at all, bro. If we go up against any competent QB, they're going to tear that defense to shreds, even if Michael Williams is healthy. I don't care what anyone says. That's just the fact of the matter. Lamar Jackson would tear us to shreds. Justin Herbert would tear us to shreds. Josh Allen would tear us a new asshole. Patrick Mahomes would do that as well, as you can tell by the way he's been playing this season. There's no two ways about it. As soon as those two main guys went down, Warner and Bosa, it was a wrap for any Super Bowl hopes. Maybe we'll make the playoffs. Maybe we'll somehow make it to the wild card. Maybe we'll win the division. You never know. Like, honestly, it's cool. Maybe we'll win first round. We're not going past that second round. That's just the fact of the matter. Um, so for us to give up a lot to go out and get a Trey Hendrickson in the season where we're not contending, or to give up a lot, give us some draft picks in a season where our hope is all gone, it doesn't make sense. So I see why we didn't make any moves. So that's why like I'm not upset about it. It is disappointing that we don't try to like do something, even if it's like minimal, like Dramont Jones that the Baltimore Ravens got from Tennessee. I feel like that asking price was pretty low. Like we could have gone out there, helped with the pass rush a little bit. But we are obviously in need of edge rushers. So I don't know, man. Like it's very tough, but to play devil's advocate, I'm gonna say I understand why we didn't make any moves. So I'm not like, too mad at it. We'll wait during during the off season. We'll see what they do then. But for now, it's not crazy.
I'm saying I'm right with you there, Yousuf. Obviously, with the Niners, it's kind of like it's like what you said. Obviously, there was no Super Bowl hopes in a sense because of all the injuries that went down. So it's more of like the Niners. I feel like felt a little comfortable. They're like we're in a position now. We're winning games. What more are these picks going to really help us with winning games? Like you said, there's no Super Bowl aspiration. So it's just why am I going to go give up a first round pick for a 6 game rental of Trey Hendrickson? You get what I'm saying? You're not going to have the money, number one, to re-sign him. Plus, second is you're not going to want to re-sign him for that much at that age. So my point to you is like, why would the Niners do that? The Niners, like I said, it's all respect to them for being where they're at with all the injuries they're dealing with. It's just not worth it. And the Niners front office know that. That's why they didn't make any moves this year. Making the playoffs, that's a success. That's the ceiling. So I think just moving forward, Niners are just looking for next year, how to get healthy, how to rebuild for next year.
Yeah, General Manager John Lynch on Thursday said that he wasn't willing to overpay. He said that's the needle you have to thread. We've done it a lot in the past where we've given up a lot. Trent Williams, Christian McCaffrey, just about every year we've made one. We made a bunch this year, but you have to stay true. And that's not to say we weren't going to do anything, but we weren't going to get fleeced. We weren't going to overpay. It's just not good business. And as they say, sometimes the best deals you do are the ones you don't do. And I felt like in this case, we felt like as an organization, that was the best course. And as I mentioned before, we have a lot of belief. We weren't going to make an overpayment, and I think we like our group. We're fortunate. It looks like we're going to get Bryce Huff back if he continues to get through this week's practice. We add Keon, and we'll continue to add his contributions to our group. They're a well-coached group, and that's what we have. We've got a lot of belief in that group, and we move forward. So it looks like the GM is having some belief in the group that you guys currently have going on over there in San Francisco, Yousuf, too. Like you said, maybe you guys do win the division, you guys make the playoffs, and maybe for some Niners fans, maybe the expectation isn't to win the Super Bowl or make it to the Super Bowl just because of the amount of important key defensive injuries and some on the offensive end as well that you guys have sustained this year. Um, yeah, maybe just look into the offseason and kind of just assess what you got and go from there.
Absolutely, bro. And I mean, there's no two questions about the fact that Howie Roseman has been the best GM in football for years now. But if there's anyone that's right behind him, aside from the Colts management, I would say John Lynch is right there, bro. Like there's no two ways about it. The guy has been so amazing since he's come in. He's turned our franchise around. Like he's made some deals that have elevated us into contender talks on a yearly basis. So shout out to him. I trust the guy. I believe in the guy. I'm not mad at the fact that anything that he said, really, like everything that he said, he's right, bro. Like when we made the CMC deal, everyone said that we overpaid. When we made the Trent deal, everyone said that we overpaid. But look at us, like we look at us now. Since then, like we've been to a Super Bowl, we've constantly won the division, we've been in the playoffs numerous times. You can't argue with success, I guess, in that regard. But he's right. Like, don't overpay, especially in a time where like there's no reason to. We don't need to.
Yeah, now John Lynch has to do is make some moves in your guys' medical staffing department. If you're like that's the main thing you guys need to address this
Fire
offseason.
everyone. Fire everyone. Everyone fired and never hired again.
The last team I believe we should touch on about the trade deadline is, as you said, the Philadelphia Eagles. Howie Roseman once again have been a very active phone line when it comes to transactions, trading for two corners, two big corners. I mean, you can make whatever you want, say whatever you want about Jay Alexander and Michael Carter, and then also trading for Jalen Phillips from the Miami Dolphins. Majed, as the other Eagles fan in the panel, how did you feel about the moves that Howie made this year?
I'm not surprised one bit, obviously, with the moves. We know how he's going to be aggressive, how he's in just Super Bowl mode. Every trade that's going to come is going to be obviously to make this team better. Now, we'll say a couple things. I think obviously just to stand up before Jalen Phillips, I'm going to get to that because that's a whole different situation. Um, with Jair and Michael Carter. So with Carter coming in, Carter's a very interesting situation because Carter was a former first round pick. Carter's high hoped in the league, played for the Jets. It wasn't, what people expected. This year he's been having a shaky game, like shaky year. Like one game he has like a pick, and then another game the Jets lose by 30. So it's kind of hard to put Carter. We'll see how he's with the system. I know he's going to play more nickel than outside. So maybe behind DeJean, he'll be there. As for Jair, it really comes down to it's not that can Jair still play. Like Jair, obviously, we've seen him get torched. It's kind of like Jalen Ramsey. Like he's going to get torched, but then he's going to give you that big play. I think it comes down to the system we're in, right? So you look at Darius Slay's last 2 years with the Eagles, last year and the year before. You're going to look at, oh, yeah, Darius Slay's good. You really watch those games, Darius Slay was not that good. It's just more of that pass rush was so good that it gives the corners so much time. So if they lose their footing, they can get back to the receiver, etc. I think that's where Jair is going to come in. I think Jair, obviously, knowing that we have Quinion and DeJean, Jair's not put on the role to guard someone like an AJ or a Justin Jefferson. Jair's going to be on the wide receiver 3. So I think that also helps a lot. And having that veteranship inside, that's what's really going to help. Now, on the other side of Jalen Phillips, man, it's just how much more can this defensive line get better, bro? We're talking about Jalen Carter, who Aaron Donald, in my opinion, Aaron Donald is the greatest defensive tackle to ever touch football. Okay? That's just my personal opinion. This guy retired super early. God knows where he would have been if he stayed playing. He said, this is my next coming. That's Aaron Donald's words. He said that, by the way, 2 years ago. So to see where Jalen Carter's only issue is the off ball, that he needs to work on his behavior, but his talent is undeniable. You got Jordan Davis, didn't live up to the expectations the first 2 years. This year has been phenomenal for us. Moro Ojomo. Now you got Nolan Smith, who's been out. Nolan Smith is back on one edge rusher. Aziz Al-Jawari, who we signed from the Giants, has looked pretty decent this year. Now he's getting replaced by Jalen Phillips, who in my opinion is one of the best edge rushers. I'm shocked that that's all we needed to give up for him, which was a third. I get it. It is a rental. He's not going to be there. But I can see Howie with the way he moves his money where we can end up re-signing Jalen, letting know we're going to probably get rid of a lot of these like side players, whether it's Aziz Al-Jawari, all these other rentals that we're not going to sign next year. You never know. Maybe trade Jordan Davis away, create more cap space. So I'm happy where it is. I think the NFL needs to be scared. Yousuf, I mentioned this to you last time. It's better to start off the year shaky, finish the year strong than we saw the Eagles 2023 go 10-1 and then shit the bag for the rest of the year. So this year the Eagles have looked ugly to start thing. Now we're on a like 3-game win streak, coming off a bye. Players are going to be healthy. I think it just gets scary here for the NFL.
I mean, I think it's time to start having some conversations about Howie Roseman being probably the greatest front office executive to ever grace a football team. Maybe it might be too early, maybe too premature. I don't care what y'all tell me, but the guy's been to 2 Super Bowls as the GM. He's won one comfortably, and now he went out and got Jalen Phillips. That's just crazy, bro. I mean, every time there's an area that you need to address in this Philadelphia Eagles team, this man goes out and addresses that issue perfectly and instantly too. Like he doesn't waste time. He doesn't. There's so many teams that feel like they need to do that. Howie Roseman just gets it done, bro. And he finds a way to get it done. You mentioned like you're surprised how you went out and got Jalen Phillips at that cheap of a price. The guy's coming off an Achilles tear not too long ago, right? So it's understandable. However, he's still one of the best edge rushers, I think, in the NFL. And he's probably one of the most slept on edge rushers in the NFL. Fantastic move, I think. With Jair Alexander, you mentioned a lot regarding how Darius Slay wasn't looking great last season. Jair has looked god awful, but then again, he looked god awful in a god awful defense. You never know, bro. I mean, you go into this defense now with the Eagles, you'll look semi good all of a sudden because that pass rush is looking crazy. I mean, you don't go address one thing and not address the other that's going to complement it. Howie Roseman has done that to a level that is beyond elite. He's the best. There's no two ways about it. A+ for the Eagles in this trade deadline. Honestly, A+. They're the only A+ team I would think in this trade deadline. There's no two ways about it, in my opinion. Fantastic work. I mean, there's not much else to say, bro.
Yeah, at what point are you an NFL executive in the NFL and you look at your phone and you see Howie Roseman calling your phone and you just like don't pick up the phone? Like I feel like that this should just be a standard. Like if Howie Roseman, hits your line, I feel like at that point you're asking to get fleeced at this point. You're asking to feed a Super Bowl contender some of your best players. I mean, it's quite literally quite insane. That's gonna do it for us. Gonna have a combo. If you guys have any other thoughts on the NFL trade deadline 2025, let us know in the comments down below. We're gonna close things out with the NFL games of the week, first brought to you by Street Logic Sports. I'm gonna go first here. I'm picking the international game, actually, the Falcons Colts game. I got the Colts beating out the Falcons 31-24. I know we plugged in Drake London earlier in the show in the plug and pull out segment, but I think um, the Colts have just been on one this year. And like what Matt just said, I think in his analysis of Drake London, that with the Colts now acquiring Sauce Gardner, I think he's going to get the assignment of Drake London. I know you still have other guys, in Atlanta that you have to really like look out for on the offensive front with Bijan Robinson, obviously with Kyle Pitts, who's looked not Kyle Pitts like in a good way, and you saw Darnell Mooney over there. So I got the Colts beating out the Falcons by 7.
I love it. I love it because the Colts actually, it's funny. Tyler Warren, who's on the Colts, the Falcons have the best tight end defense. They're ranked number 1 in the league, surprisingly. So, and Jonathan Taylor scored 7 points last week, fantasy-wise. I don't think he's going to have another shit game like that in a row. So I think it's going to be a JT game this week for the Colts.
I
Yousuf,
agree. I mean, yeah, I agree. I mean, it's gonna be a good game, I think. Um, but it's hard for me to look at it in terms of like that game being fully close, especially considering with how wishy-washy um the Falcons have been. So I don't know. It's hard. It's hard. It's a tough call. I do have the Colts winning that game, but I think it's going to be over like by two possessions or more. But yeah, fair enough. I think it should be a good game up until like that fourth quarter. I think that's when they pull away.
Majed or Yousuf, do you guys have a game of
Yousuf,
the week you guys want to share?
Yousuf, you go first.
I got Rams Niners again. I mean, it doesn't fail, bro. That game is always fireworks. It's always a great time. I'm sure you guys can agree with me on this one, right? Um, I'm gonna go bias this week. I don't care. I haven't been doing it all year. This is the first time I think I've chosen the Niners as a game of the week this season. So I'm doing it now. I'm gonna go with my Niners winning it by one possession towards the end. I'm gonna have it as 21-17. I think it's gonna be a big Mac Jones game. I think George Kittle is going to emerge. I think he's going to show out this week. I think McCaffrey is also going to do his due diligence as he always does every single week. And maybe a slight appearance from Juwan Jennings as well. B Rob also, Brian Robinson. He finally got his first touchdown of the season. He was a great, powerful run last week. I think he starts to see a little bit of game time as well. But at the end of the day, I think the Niners are going to pull out with this one. This game is going to be in Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara. So the Niners, like I said, they always get two home games against the Rams every season. So the second home game, like I said, I'm looking forward to it. I think Niners will improve to 7-3, continue our nice little start, and we end up going top of the division. That would be nice.
All right. So before I go to my game of the week, I know Isaiah's not here in the show, but based on the slate of games, not knowing what else there is besides my game of the week, which I'll say for Isaiah, I'm a quick wrap up. I think he'd go with the Chargers Steelers, his Chargers team this week. They are Sunday night, so that is a pretty good game. I do think Isaiah obviously will agree with this answer. We have the Chargers winning by 10, at least two scores against the Steelers team, regardless whatever the score comes out to. I don't think it might necessarily be crazy high scoring where the Chargers go score 30, 40 like they did on the Vikings. But I just don't see that Steelers offense able to score a lot of points on this Chargers defense, especially with, a lot more of these, players that were injured coming back. So I think Chargers win this game at home. The game isn't SoFi. I'm not saying that's a home game, but, I still think Chargers come back.
Are we talking about the same Chargers team that almost blew it against the Titans and the Dolphins?
100%, which were both on the road. They're back at home. This is a different game. I just don't trust. I just don't trust that Steelers team. I love their defense. I don't trust that offense one bit. I don't think in order for them to win, they would need DK to have an 8 catch. And I know how much you hate this guy. DK is gonna need to have 8 catches for 160 yards. Pat Fryermuth is gonna need to have 150 yards.
You see what the fuck I was talking about with DK? You see that shit that he did last week?
Yep.
The fuck I'm talking about?
Yep.
That's the shit I'm talking about with him.
Yep. I know.
That's the shit I've always been talking about with him.
I know.
He's fucking ass. He's overrated as fuck.
That's what I'm saying. So I just don't see it there. But moving forward to my, I'm gonna be biased too. I don't want to say biased because it's obviously Eagles versus Packers. Monday night, Eagles Packers. My game of the week. Like I said, I mentioned the game is in Lambeau. I know most people actually starting this year going into the schedule. A lot of people have the Packers. Packers are actually the favorite to win this game, like 64-36 against the Eagles. Start the year. I don't know how the odds have changed now, but I have the Eagles winning. I don't think it's going to be as high scoring. I think this game is going to be like a 27-21 type game. It's going to be pretty low scoring. I still have the Eagles coming up on top. I think it's going to come down to, a nice little possession by the Eagles to kind of ice the game and go in kneel formation towards the end of the game. But I think it's going to be a fun one Monday night.
Beautiful. Guys, this has been the Week 10 episode. This is episode 12 of the 2025 NFL season. We appreciate y'all for joining us as we do every single week. We look forward to seeing you guys again next week, hopefully with the whole crew available. You never know. Thanksgiving's coming up. I know some of the guys might be busy. I don't know who's going to be out of town, but you might see your boy back in LA. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I might have an in-person episode. We don't know. But we're just going to keep that out there. But like we said, we got another week until then. We're looking forward to connecting with you guys on the usual basis. Hopefully, put some more content out for you guys. We want to make sure this episode gets up. So we made it a point to get out here this week, even though it was a late decision to record. We appreciate y'all for tuning in every single week. Just check us out: Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, Apple. Y'all know where to find us at this point. Check out the links, and we'll see y'all on the flip. Deuces.